In fantasy role-playing games, two names stand out, Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder. And you want to know which one is better? I play Pathfinder and D&D regularly, both as a player and as a dungeon master. People tend to feel loyalty to their system and are adamant that they have found the only answer. I have struggled along with others to find the one thing many desperately want, a short analysis free of bias. The history of enmity is long and complicated, so for the sake of today's debate, I'm going to keep it short. We're going to focus on the newest editions, 5th edition for D&D and 2nd for Pathfinder, and find out which to choose. So, what does 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons have going for it? It's huge! Even if this is the first video you've ever watched about tabletop RPGs, chances are D&D is the most familiar because of how widespread and popular it is. Thanks to ease of access and a tidal wave of pop culture, D&D's ascent to the mainstream has made it incredibly easy to get involved. Thanks to a large fan base, there are many content creators expanding what is available, so something of interest can be found for all types. From videos explaining rules to authors of novels and adventures, all are making things to further expand and share the game. This popularity comes in part from how straightforward it is. Characters slowly get core abilities over the course of the first 3 levels, letting players ease into subclasses and customization options that are available and learn the mechanics of that class at a slower pace. One of the new additions of custom lineages allows that if some skills aren't being useful, they can be replaced at level ups, giving a sense of personal growth to a character, and it has a mechanical benefit. Finally, combat is satisfying, with each class fulfilling its own role and having a moment to shine. On the other hand, Pathfinder's biggest point in its favor is its sheer versatility. As of current count, Pathfinder 2nd has 22 classes to D&D 5e's 13, with another quickly on its way. Every level gives characters a wealth of options, unlocking abilities that appeal to the player without giving abilities that may never be utilized. This system helps make 2 characters of the same class still feel very unique from one another. Pathfinder also employs a 3-action turn that allows the same flexibility in combat. You want to attack that level 1 goblin 3 times this turn? Throw him the beatdown. Need to leg it? Beat 3 moves that away. Want to spend the turn using your acrobatics to dodge around like it's Dark Souls? Be the majestic dolphin you were meant to be. All of this is well and good, but the key difference I use to talk it up, Pathfinder started in D&D's open gaming license, so they have maintained the tradition of making all of their products freely available online. Even after D&D tried to take away their piece, Pathfinder remains free. Hearing all this, you may be thinking, what's not to love about both? This is supposed to help me decide. But that was just one side of the coin. To make this truly neutral, we also have to consider the drawbacks from each system. Typically, tabletop role-playing groups stand on 3 equal pillars: social challenges, exploration, and combat. While D&D has a massive spotlight, it excels in combat, the social and exploration pillars really take a back seat. I was still a young dungeon master when 5e came out. In running one of their official adventures, I learned quickly if my party gets into a fight, the characters have a treasure trove of options. Spells, skills, abilities, all centered around fighting, all built into classes. But when I needed them to track down a sinister cult back in town, I had to pray the players could pick up the slack and lean heavily into roleplay as the party struggled to find the leads. My other major issue is how pricey 5e is. With less of an online presence, keeping games going virtually recently meant virtual books would need to be purchased in addition to physical copies. Pathfinder's model does mean 5e is competing with a $0 price tag, but it is rough to need to spend several $100s to run an adventure online and make sure everyone is using official sponsored content. One smaller, less influential gripe is that in keeping things simplified, it also means that options are very limited. Monks, for example, are usually thought of having these unique weapons, and for them, the player's handbook says, whatever name you use for a monk weapon, you can use the game statistics provided for the weapon on the weapons page. So if I want to live my dream of being one of 4 adolescent oddity turtle shinobis, I'm stuck using the stats for clubs, daggers, longswords, and a quarterstaff. And that's just not fun. For its downside, Pathfinder finds itself in a similar position to Icarus. The same thing that allows it to soar is also what causes it to come crashing down. To put it bluntly, its options make it complex. The feats that make it highly customizable can give players a huge amount of analysis paralysis. This isn't helped by every option that a player can choose being called a feat, and keeping track of what feats you get from where and what they all do is daunting to say the least. In teaching PF2e to new players, it's enough of a hassle. I often find myself using different names for each in an effort to sort them out. Ancestry perks, class features, skill feats. Hey man, they can't all be cool. There are also a large amount of rules that are reliant on the GM to establish on the fly. Stuff like aid actions, delay, and item activation all have additional rules that the GM must implement at their discretion. Some checks are even secret rolls that the GM uses the player's bonus, and coming from another system, that feels a little strange. These problems can mean that it can get overwhelming on their own, and together, they can seem downright impassable. So, at the end of the day, which is better? The answer is both. And neither. I mean, ask a vanilla person their opinion on chocolate, and they're going to try to fight you on principle. At the end of the day, it's your call to pick which option fits you the best. If you're down to clown with the crazy amount of variety, or you want a game that more readily rewards out of combat, maybe check on Pathfinder. If you want something simple as a jumping off point, or want to lean heavily on that sweet combat, D&D may be your jam. Just don't let someone try to tell you their favorite should be your favorite because they say so. Remember, it's vanilla and chocolate. If you want to know more about a specific system, consider hitting subscribe and letting me know what you want to know about for next time. I don't know how to sign off a video.